This is the 8-9 Combo.
This is the 8-9 Combo. I'm Brett McKay. This is Harry Jones. Hello, mate. How are we doing this week?
Taciturn. Laconic. These are the words that sometimes describes Kiwis, Kiwi journalists in particular. And when you wonder the bowels of these stadia, which I'm not used to as a quasi-fake journalist, you get a very good sense of the different national characters. For example, if you're wandering around in Cape Town, there's going to be a guy going, "Sir, mister, right now, you must come this way, down this way, turn left and right, and go up. I'll show you now. Come on." And then he takes you to the wrong place. In England, they just stare at you with a toffee in their nose and a plum on their cheek and just regard you and then say what you're doing wrong. "Sorry, sir, you're in the wrong place," but they don't show you. In New Zealand, they just let you wander. So they'll just stare at you as you go down into the loo by mistake. I found myself in that predicament, and then even getting to the actual place, having been credited. And one Kiwi journalist, one New Zealander was so kind to show me where to sit, where to get beer, where the pies were, where the proper loo was, so you didn't have to mix with the unwashed, although I went anyway. And he graces us with his presence tonight, late.
I feel like I have erred by not letting you do the intro.
Late nights with the Kiwi.
That would have been a repeat.
So you guys you're so close to each other, but you're not really. I mean, how?
No, we're further apart this week.
3 hours apart.
Yes,
from Kiwi,
yes.
from the Kiwis.
New Zealand has gone into daylight saving a week earlier than Australia has. We're heading in this weekend, and so yes, we're a little bit caught out in our timing this week.
I should have just flown to Hawaii and done it from Hawaii, and then I've been really close to Jamie, but even farther away on the time clock.
I keep telling you, you and I can both get a direct flight to Suva in Fiji. Let's just start doing pods in person.
Yeah, events. I bet it would be. I bet it would be lit there. I think that would be fun.
If you listen to the pod and you're with Fiji Airways, get in touch.
Hook us up. I'm drinking Fiji water right now.
There you go. Absolutely. Here's cheers, mate. What are we giving cheers to around the rugby world this weekend?
Our cheers is in our other guys as writers. We managed to put together an 8-9 combo. You went in deep, frame by frame into the ways that the skill-based errors of the Wallabies lost them the Bledisloe 1 and therefore the Bledisloe 1 and 2. And I went into, even though this is very out of my character, because I say referees are too famous, I don't use them by name, I hate talking about them. I decided let's do sort of a mock review of PRD and see how he did. And I took 3 hours of my life, frame by frame. And
spoiler alert,
he was okay.
Wasn't terrible.
Wasn't poor, wasn't great. And a lot of his 50-50s favored the Wallabies. It was the not 50-50s that he got wrong. And I thought that was a really, if you want to read two things, Rugby Boss, Brett McKay, go on there, check it out, and then read mine. And you can take those together as an amalgam, like an 8 and a 9. The 8 holding the ball at the base, and the 9 slapping his bum, like, let it out. And I'm like, no, it's mine. I'm anal retentive. I'm an 8.
Yeah. And look, I'd love to say that we planned it.
Did not.
We did not.
Yeah.
We did
and also
not.
Jeff Parks, our good friend Jeff Parks, read his as well. It literally, if you took those 3 together, you would have a nice Australian view where you could be sane and calm and move on to Bledisloe 2.
It's probably fair. I bring you cheers for nominations of the pod. We love a friend of the pod. We love a son of the pod. Now I give you a nomination of the pod, and it is for our mate Gareth Whitaker and the TNW team in South Africa. Late last week, learned that Chasing the Sun 2 has been nominated for an international Emmy.
Deserved.
We could be Emmy winners.
Emmy adjacent.
Emmy adjacent.
We were not wrong, and people who saw it early were not wrong about how quality it was for someone who doesn't even understand rugby. It was a story, and they managed to stop getting too inside on rugby, and really find a way to broadcast that audience to a new audience. I thought it was brilliant, and I know you love the storytelling aspect of it.
Yeah, it was so well done, and just a huge shout out to Gareth and the TNW team. It's magnificent recognition for them, and I sincerely hope it falls well for them. We do have a great Rugby Chat coming up in just a second, mate. Please do tell the lovely people why we would love them to subscribe to the 8-9, please.
We work so hard. Even this morning, I had to take this cold boxing, the ring, the corner man. I smashed it on your eye just to get up, to get ready for you to have late nights with a Kiwi. And you have to show some appreciation, man.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
So that it doesn't look like it's 4
Stop wanking and subscribe. Right there.
Saying that.
It's a tagline. I like it. I'm saying stop. Use this hand.
No.
Yeah.
Don't know about that. If you are listening to watch us on YouTube, it's the red subscribe button down that way. And if you are on any of the pod platforms, then you know what to do there as well. Like, follow, subscribe, whatever it happens to be, and you won't miss any of whatever this is. We'll remain in New Zealand for another year, another bloody year at that, and we're all just thrilled about it. But while the result perhaps wasn't surprising, how the All Blacks and the Wallabies arrived at it was very much open to the rugby gods last week. And so is everything fine again? Don't know. But to find out, it is great to welcome back to the 8-9 Combo RNZ sports writer and reporter, New Zealand's rugby ambassador to South Africa, Jamie Wall. Welcome back, mate. How you doing?
Jamie.
Kia ora and good evening. I'm doing good. It's a bit late here, but we've
good
already
evening.
had that chat.
It's damn near good morning for you, mate. Yes.
Yeah. So we have this thing called daylight savings over here,
yes,
which starts a little bit earlier than Australia, which I found out now twice this week. So yeah, nice to be talking with you guys. Then this is how much I love you guys. I'm willing to stay up this late.
Oh
yeah. And there was a game of cricket on earlier between our two countries, and that's not even being able to make the evening.
No, let's not talk about that.
Not talk about that. Okay.
There's another one going on right now between the women, and that looks like it's heading the same way. So let's talk about rugby.
Yeah, okay, that makes much more sense. Bledisloe 1 fallout, mate. It's been an interesting one, hasn't it? It's been a weekend.
Yeah, it has. I guess most of the chat over your guys' side has been about the officiating, which is a shame. Most of the chat here has been about injuries, which means that it's actually a reasonably straightforward All Black team to pick this weekend, because it's simply just a case of replacing guys who are out. It just needs to be sort of more about who's actually going to come through training. Who is over there right now. Yeah. And also the big talk right now is about, can the All Blacks string 2 good performances together? Because that's the thing that they haven't been able to do in the Rugby Championship, at least. And if it is another up and down week of Test rugby, then we have to start asking some serious questions as to why this keeps happening, because you can't come off a great win at Eden Park and follow it up with a bunch of crap somewhere else, which is what they did in Wellington. And unless you're going to hypnotize these guys and make them think that they're playing at Eden Park every time, maybe they should just remember the whole reason the All Blacks are the All Blacks is because they're consistent, and we can count on them to be able to do this, because right now it's feeling like they're not, and we're going to need to see this by the end of this season.
I like the idea of a team hypnotist. Actually, the more I think about this, I was telling Harry Wilson, you just need to convince your guys that the first 20 is the last 20, and then you'll probably be in good shape. And maybe for the All Blacks, it's no team puts together 80 minutes of great rugby. But if you could find 25 and 25, you usually win a game, right? And it's almost like the All Blacks to me. I'm watching them and they just are looking at the clouds and maybe, start wondering about what they're going to eat that night. And then boom, the other team's back. And then they really rally well. So, there's quality there. And even the new guys, the Leroy Carter and those guys are coming in, they look good. But yeah, just a communal loss of focus for about 20 minutes that is dooming the All Black season right now.
Certainly feels that way. And you're right about how it was quite an intriguing game last week going into half time, because you had an All Black team that was very good at scoring points in the first sort of half an hour, and you had a Wallaby team that was very good at scoring in the last half an hour. So really, the statistics were telling you that the Wallabies were going to win that game running away. And it was heartening to see the All Blacks get themselves out of a jam there and score a try at a crucial time in the second half, much like they did against the Springboks at Eden Park. So we just sort of need to see more of that. I don't think. I think the end result was sort of about as convincing as enough for the New Zealand public, because that's a good Wallaby team. That's a Wallaby team that's beaten the Springboks, that's beaten the Pumas, and was within one referee call of winning a series against the Lions, and is full of guys who right now we're looking across the park saying, "Damn, this is a good team." So I think in the end, I wouldn't say comfortably beat them, but I wasn't actually worried about the All Blacks ever sort of losing that game in the last 20 minutes, if you know what I mean. And so, to come out feeling like that is a net positive. But like I said, they just got to do it again. They have to do it again with some changes to the team. And they're not all replacements. We've got guys coming back as well, including I presume the captain. So it's going to be quite. I think it's going to be quite an interesting one, because there's a lot of emotional energy around the Wallabies this weekend. There's these milestones happening. It's James Slipper, who's a very popular guy. And it's now his retirement match. As well.
Well, you know how Wallabies retirements go, Jamie.
I was going to say, and we absolutely acknowledge James Slipper's announced he's going to retire from international rugby after Bledisloe 2 in Perth this weekend, and good luck to him. Who is definitely going to retire first, James Slipper or Nick White?
Well, it's funny.
I'm pretty confident it Slips.
It's funny you say that, because I asked James Slipper this after the game on Saturday, and I said, "You're going to step aside," and he hadn't officially announced it, and so he said, it's probably then." I said, "You're not going to do a Nick White, eh?" And he just laughed at me. He goes, "No, I'll retire before that guy does. I've had enough."
He will.
And I actually did ask him if he was sort of had any motivation to stick around for the world record test, and he just laughed and said a few swear words and said, "Are you joking?"
the thing about Slips that I love is his honesty. I've always enjoyed, and he earlier in the year when he actually, I don't know whether it was when he re-signed his contract through for the Brumbies till the end of next year, but whenever it was, we just said, and I said to him, and I don't think it was actually in the middle of a press conference. It might have just been a conversation. I said, "How many years you got left in you, mate?" And he said, "The real question is, how many pre-seasons have I got left in me?" That's what it comes down to at this age. Interesting, mate, that you talked about the margin, and 9 points to me felt about right last weekend. But 9 points is an interesting margin. You sort of said it was a good enough margin to keep New Zealand supporters happy. So I was sort of wondering, how, if it was only 6 points or if it was only 3 points, where was the line? Do you think that
I guess it was more a comment on the way the game finished.
I know it was.
It could have. The fact that the All Blacks didn't have to have a win off a missed penalty shot at goal, or something like that, or
an Artie Pilfer on the goal line or something.
Like what happened when the Springboks played there. It was more like they ended the game on their own terms.
Exactly,
and that was the kind of the key difference there.
I'll stand corrected on this, Harry, but I think the possession for the last 10 minutes or so was like 75% New Zealand.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a real closeout.
There was one team who was the author of the game, and the other one was sort of the recipient. This is happening to me, and that's why the reaction's been so much about officiating and so forth. But to me, Jamie, it was like the Wallabies are like a very tough team now, hard to beat, but they didn't really look at the analytics well enough, they didn't kick enough. You cannot kick 13 times on the All Blacks who have struggled to contain the kick. And to get 3 or 4 kick regains, you need to kick 25 times. You don't get those off of 13 kicks that you regain 5 times, and because some of them was exits. And so I just wondered about that tactical standpoint, and it felt to me that New Zealand was comfortable because the Wallabies weren't making them uncomfortable enough. It was just carry into the teeth of a very well organized All Blacks defense.
Yeah, that's entirely accurate. The kicking game really let the Wallabies down, and not just the choices, but also the execution of when they did kick. And you don't have to look any further than that fluffed touch finder by James O'Connor towards the end, because that could have potentially changed everything. Yeah. Well, the one that would have been a line out about 8 meters out, and then he got turned into a penalty down the other end.
Yes.
So that's the sort of stuff that leads me to believe that he probably won't be playing this weekend. But the other thing that you mentioned about, like, it was almost as if the Wallabies were gaining sort of just enough out of their carry, because there were some really good carries there. Like Harry Wilson was really throwing himself.
Tom
Hooper, Lena Kitao. Some really good stuff, and it was almost as though they were like, well, this is clearly working, we better just keep going with it. But the All Blacks very much operate on a bend but don't break kind of thing in the midfield. And it was just a case of just waiting, Artie sitting there waiting for his moment and snaffling that turnover and changing the whole momentum of the game. So I think that probably needs a bit of a look this week from the Wallabies. I think they'll know full well what they could have done better to win that game.
I think I think you could see it on full time. There was a real the reaction and the body language was it was annoyance. Like, it was a real
by Australia
opportunity. Yes, from the Wallabies. Yeah, it was a real opportunity slipped. Because and there was a lot was written about it. I know I wrote about it. We talked about it. It was spoken of a lot. This was a real opportunity. This is a real chance. Maybe their best chance in a long time. And on full time, you could just sort of see them. They were going, this was it. This was the one. You talk to the Irish players from Schmidt's time in Ireland, and they all say the same thing, which is rigorous methodology, well coached, you're a tough team to beat. But the one complaint they have by some of the sort of, I would call, game manager type players is we were a little bit too structured and unable to change in the battle, in the middle of the battle. It reminds you of Nick Faldo saying, why I'm a better golfer than you guys, even if you can hit a bigger drive than I can, is I can fix my swing in the middle of my swing. I can fix my swing in the middle of the round. And I just wonder on the Wallabies side, and maybe this is Jamie's point about James O'Connor, is where was the tactical shift in the middle? Because I agree, Brett, you had them in a vulnerable spot, but then there was no push through, Jamie. It was like, it was almost like, we'll give you the easiest thing that you can see to defend for a while, and then predictable result at the end. It was 26-24 with 6 minutes to play.
Yes, right there. Exactly.
And I don't think the Wallabies saw the ball after that.
Yep. And to be fair, to give some credit to the All Blacks, we talk about the inconsistency, but that's one thing they have been pretty consistent at this year. If you saw in the French series, you had the first and third test, they were in a bit of a jam in the last 20 minutes, and they were just a lot better at firstly holding onto the ball, and then secondly putting it so far down into the opposition territory that they couldn't do anything with it. And the territory stats in the last 20 minutes have been really, really impressive. They did the same thing to the Springboks, probably not as much at Eden Park, and then did the same thing to the Wallabies. So, you can point to sort of at least 4 occasions this year where they have turned their tactical vision to something that's more like, let's close this game down.
Yes.
And the one where it just clearly obviously didn't work was in Wellington, because all of a sudden they had to sort of chase the game, and it was the reason why that was so disappointing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, this is the one you should be good at. Like this is the one that
Yes.
All Black teams have historically been able to do, which is once a team gets a couple of tries up on you, you can peg them back like that.
Right.
So yeah, I think that, as long as the All Blacks are winning with 20 minutes to go, if you look back at all those games, you'll find yourself going, well, of course they were never going to lose from there because the ball never got anywhere near danger area for them.
And that's a really good point. They for their up and down form, if you like, their up and down attack, and there was certainly even moments in that game on Saturday night. I don't think I can remember ever writing down where's the All Blacks shape in attack as it was at times, but over the last 18 months, 2 years, and a lot longer, obviously, their ability to close the game has always been pretty consistent. That's certainly true.
Maybe Eden Park 1 taught them for Eden Park 2, Jamie. I mean, you and I were sitting at the same aperture in the glass, and we were both pointed to the right, and All Blacks were holding on. The Springboks were challenging. And I thought there was a huge tactical shift in how they kicked and how they presented and how they conducted themselves and set piece even in this Eden Park, where you would have been clearly all looking the other way around. It was All Blacks battering. There was the Harry Potter call, but whether you like the Harry Potter call or not, All Blacks had the ball battering at the line, wanting to finish the game. It wasn't just holding on. And I think holding on is not enough. We've said this before. Other thing, Jamie, you said was very intriguing, and I'm going to go back to it. You said, I presume the captain's back. And I wonder if your presumptions around whether he's captain or whether he's coming back. So, Scott Barrett wasn't on the field question. When this better tactical shape happened. Who was that person, driving?
Yeah, so that is another big topic of conversation here. Again, it's not new as to whether Ardie Savea should be the full-time captain of the All Blacks. It certainly hasn't done his form any harm, and this is a guy that is already playing really, really well anyway. And the fact that he led the team and played yet another incredible performance. And that is, I think, his 23rd game of the year already.
What?
On top, from Moana and the so he started, I think it was 14 games for Moana, and now was it 7 tests, and he started all the tests. He started all those games for Moana, and he's finished most of those tests too. So
that's why he's illegally crawling along the ground, guys. He's illegally crawling. Mate, he's crawling. Like, I've never seen a more misunderstood version of the tackle rule that if my knee brushes the ground, I'm tackled if you don't even really have me, in your grasp. That's, guys, that's when you're getting mauled and you're picked up and cradled like a baby, and I get my knee down. Yes, I've affected the tackles. I want to be tackled. In the tackle fight, like Ardie is famous for, that's not crawling. No. Come on, guys. It's ridiculous.
Can I just say that if brushing your knee on the ground was enough for a tackle, my tackle stats would have been a lot better than they were. So
remind me, Jamie, is Ardie typically the captain of the teams he plays for in club level?
He was captain of Moana this year, and he was captain of the Hurricanes the last season he played for them. So it's a relatively new thing for him. As a professional rugby player, I know he's definitely the captain of his first 15 team. But this is he's captained the All Blacks since 2021.
Do you think he's the spiritual leader? I mean, he seems like the leader of the locker room,
I feel like there's a few in there, and that he definitely carries the mantle of one of the guys who is like, well, we know he's going to play well. There's him, there's Will Jordan, and now you can add Cam Roigard to that, who are like the stars of the team. And it feels like everyone else is just sort of like waiting for them to do something, which is probably not the way the team should be playing. Like, they all should be doing that. But there's something like really, really special about Ardie that's become even more apparent this year. So to talk about him being captain, personally, I think like whatever he does out there, he might as well be the captain. I would really like to have a deep dive into the sort of decisions that got made, because there was that game in Cordoba where the All Blacks beat the Pumas, Scott Barrett had to come off after about 46 minutes, and Artie had to make some pretty key calls because the Pumas did mount like a bit of a comeback there. And again, this is another game. This one's kind of passed me by, but this is another game where they really shut it down in the end and scored a couple of line-out tries. And it was a couple of decisions by Artie to turn down some shots at goal and go for the line-out and back their line-out to really close that game out. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know whether they change. They don't, the All Blacks don't really change their captains much. Even
not unforced, no.
The very tumultuous last coaching regime that we had, I think if there was ever going to be a captaincy change, it would have been during that, but that didn't happen. So I don't see Scott Barrett being replaced. But what I think is really interesting, though, is that you now have a situation where an All Black captain can be substituted because you have another guy on there.
Yes, that's true.
And obviously the Springboks do it with Siya Kolisi a lot, and it does. It's sort of just presumed that
there's a senior leadership group, right, where it just seamlessly takes over.
For sure. And I think that having a guy who's not having not only a senior leadership group, but another guy who's proven to be a match-winning captain out there who is going to play.
It doesn't affect his play. And I'd wonder about Scooter Barrett because I have seen him play better. And I wonder if he's one of those guys, a subset, that is affected by the captaincy. And, they said that for ages about Amaro Itoje, then they gave him the captaincy and actually he was fine. So I don't know which is which.
Might have even got better.
Right? But it does make me wonder. And I would throw in a couple other guys with that group you just said is Cody Taylor and Geordie Barrett. And those five guys, to me, this is a bigger problem. Those are the All Blacks that I look at and say, those are some of the best players in the world. And usually you could say 7, 8, 9 All Blacks. It's rare for me in my lifetime that you would say there's 5 guys that are in consideration for a world 35, And if that's true, Ray's either got to find some mystery tribe of Kiwis playing rugby somewhere that he doesn't know, or it's going to have to be a different game plan, right?
I hope that mystery tribe of Kiwis in the eastern suburbs of Sydney.
There's plenty of them. I think you're right in that the All Blacks are at a historically kind of lower end of having, the makeup of a World 15 or anything like that. But I think what you got to also remember is that Scott Robertson's doing a bit of a rebuild by stealth here, and that he is bringing in a lot of new guys, but so slowly that you don't realize that he's overhauling the team. And he started off last year by picking the team that Ian Foster left him, and it's only taken till now that he's even looked at a new winger. And it's like Leroy Carter was the top try scorer in Super Rugby. That should be your ticket punch to be the starting All Black winger. That's just the way it should work. And it's taken him until the last test to bring him in. And so I think that the majority of talent he's unearthed, you look at Wallace Satiti was a kind of an outside the box pick last year.
Because everyone was saying Sotutu, right?
That's right.
Was all the rage,
Yeah, and then Fabian Holland's been going great guns as well. He didn't pick him, but he's definitely got the best out of Tupou Vai. Like he's managed to do that, and Tyrell Lomax as well. While Roy Gard is still clearly probably head and shoulders of everyone else, you can't fault what Cordes Ratama has done as well. And I guess the only guy that's sort of got a sort of question mark over him at the moment is Billy Proctor, because he hasn't had a really sort of outstanding.
And he leaks penalties. He leaks penalties from the midfield, which is not your best look when you're in midfield. But you don't want your name.
Well, one thing I would say in Billy's defense is his defense, and that we barely mentioned Joseph Akuso Suali's name at all on Saturday night.
That's true.
And that was because of a really good job that Billy did marking him.
Yeah.
And it's kind of ironic that Quinn Tupaia had to enter the game and play on the wing for Caleb Clark and got all these great carries, and sort of everyone going, oh, well, why isn't he starting? Why isn't he starting? When he was playing out of position and was just picking up the workload that Clark had left him, because the Wallabies were just letting him and Leroy Carter just come in and just do whatever they liked.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting one to see how long that experiment is persisted with. And, or whether, we're not seeing what the coaches are saying. But I think that the defense is a pretty good key indicator of why Billy Proctor's there.
All the building guys that you're talking about that you just listed off, the common element for me is work rate. These are hard workers like Leroy, Proctor,
Simon Parker,
Holland. They get stuck in, when you actually, I was watching this rewatch to do this article, and I really watched Holland. I mean, he really gets stuck in on the ruck. Tupou Vaa'i, for all, we don't like him in South Africa, but he is a pest in the best possible way. Is that the Razor doctrine almost? Like work rate gets you in, that gets rewarded? Or what do you see as the Razor doctrine?
It certainly feels like it. It's more like, can you adhere to a pretty prescribed game plan and just work your ass off when you're in it? I feel like he has been sort of overly conservative with his selections, and it's like, mate, you came in with a clear mandate to just like, this is a complete overhaul of the staff. So go ahead and do what you want with the players, and I think that the leeway he could have had was last year, and he's kind of running out of it this year, because say they lose on Saturday, which I think is a distinct possibility, given their up and down form. Then it's like everything kind of just feels back to square one, and everyone's questioning like, oh, why'd you pick these blokes, and what's going on with the set piece and things. Because the other thing that we've found out over the last 3 tests is like, there's just the one thing that the All Blacks were really good at last year was set piece. It was really, really dependable. And then
it's really strong.
The scrum got munched against the Springboks at Eden Park. Then the line-out got picked apart in Wellington. Then on Saturday, the line-out drive defence got just pushed over. And so now it's like, well, what horrible thing are we going to find out this weekend about the All Black set piece that we didn't want to know?
And does Jason Ryan lead all the things you just described? Is that?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Is like, I think some serious scrutiny needs to be put on Jason Ryan. If there is some sort of set piece calamity this weekend, he's a guy who's sort of immensely popular because of his straight talking manner and the fact that he just comes off as being a real old school kind of hard nosed forward. But it's like, you can give that off if you want, but if the scrum's falling to bits, if they start getting pinged at scrum time,
that's still an issue.
Then that's your responsibility. And it was at about this time of the last regime where fingers started getting pointed at the guys who were in charge of certain areas in the team, and John Plumtree and Bradmore both got let go, and which had not happened before, because the main coaching staff had Ian Foster as head coach was like, well, something's got to give here, and fair enough too. And we've already seen one assistant let go, with Liam McDonald like walking already. So it wouldn't be the first. They wouldn't be the first person to walk out the door.
Well, it's so hard to control things in the final parts of games, which has been what the All Blacks keep saying is the best 1 hour team in rugby, but it's that final 20. But it's so hard when your set piece isn't functioning, that the ability to close out a game is so rested upon your bulwark scrum, your neat as a pin line out with really good movement in the middle of the line out and just clear calls, and then not being able to be mauled. If you just add those 3 things, and concomitantly, if you switch them around and say, I don't have those things, everyone gets back in the game, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the précis right there of why you'd look at Jason Ryan and say, hey, guy, you got to fix this.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that, like I said, it's always like, okay, questions need to get asked after this. So usually at the head coach, usually at the captains, usually at certain key players. But this is like, no, this is a seriously, if it screws up again this weekend, it's like, now it's in the sort of status of being seriously deficient, and the person who's in charge of it needs to start answering some questions as to why.
And then you
Because
go
the players, because the players are there. You can't blame the players that they've got, because last year it was going fine. You had a really solid front row. Yes, they're missing De Groot this week, but they're replacing him with Tamati Williams, who's not in his best form, but he's proven himself last year to be a very high caliber test player. And then a second row of a guy who they did everything to make sure he was eligible to play for the All Blacks up until now, who's started his first 4 tests, Fabian Holland, and is looking every part, an international lock. And then the captain's the other lock. And then that means that you've got Tupou Vai, who is now, quite a key player for the All Blacks, as like an extra lock loose forward. So they've got kind of an embarrassment of riches in there at the moment.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you go up north, and if you go up north with a iffy, dodgy set piece, you're worried about it. You got Soldier Field, and you got the rest of the tour. It wasn't that long ago when I was in Dublin watching the All Blacks dismantle Ireland at the end of last season, and I actually thought it was the other way around. I go, whoa, this set piece is unbelievable. I mean, you just had platform, and then at some point Will Jordan will score. That's just, recipe. So, it's just weird to imagine that the scrum is so shaky this time, and even the line out too. How much can you fix? I guess what you're saying is this is the first step. This is one of those, this is the most important game, because it's not really, it doesn't shape as that important, but it probably is for a guy like Jason Ryan.
I mean, to be fair, I will say one thing, is that in the last test, like the scrum and the line out were perfect. It was just the drive defense that was
but different.
I don't think there was one scrum penalty in the whole game, which is ironic considering how many of the others there were. And so, they went away from Wellington, where just everything was a calamity, and managed to fix that in 2 weeks. So
True.
I feel like they can probably work on this. They do now have the added, literal added pressure of Will Skelton to deal with in those drives, who's bringing in about an extra 30 kegs into that. So what they do there, I mean, the easiest way to stop the Wallabies lineout drive is to not give them any bloody lineouts on.
And they didn't get many on Saturday. I think it was maybe only half a dozen lineout wins. The Wallabies. Yeah. Anyway, we've touched on possible injury issues on both sides of the contest. Obviously, Ethan de Groot will be out. We know Beauden Barrett has not gone to Perth. You would expect Scott Barrett to come back in. On the Australian side of things, Tate McDermott is very obviously out and may not play again this year. Obviously Will Skelton is back. There's an expectation that Rob Valentini will be back.
Oh, really? That's big.
Yeah. So there's going to be a bit of change in the two teams when they're finally announced on Thursday.
Yeah, and I think that it almost kind of makes it a bit of a sort of fresh slate kind of look. I mean, I don't think that the Wallabies put out a particularly bad loose forward trio. I mean, those guys are really good. I thought Harry Wilson had some really good carries. I guess my question now is, what do they do with Harry Wilson if Rob Valentini comes back? Considering that they don't have
the way Tom Hooper is playing.
Yeah. And that they don't have a set captain. Have I got that right?
Harry Wilson has been captain all year and for more than a year now. He was appointed this time last year, and in his defence, when he was appointed captain, it was sort of seen as a bit of this is interesting, and even maybe the next step in an experiment from Joe Schmidt, because Liam Wright captained the Wallabies against Wales for a couple of tests last year, and then there was
Fraser McWright's captained.
Fraser McWright has captained a couple of times. He captained in Cape Town when Harry Wilson was out. But Harry Wilson whenever he's been fit and available, has been captain and has played strongly through the Lions series to the point where now I don't think there's actually any question about whether he holds his spot. I don't think there's any real question about that now until this weekend, because suddenly Valentini, Hooper, McWright, Wilson, with Skelton coming back, probably can't all start.
Yeah.
So, and I say that with the caveat that I expect that they will start Skelton because they've flown him all the way back from France. So I think if they can get 50 minutes out of him again, they'll send him back to La Rochelle with their best wishes and say thanks very much, and hopefully it's a Bledisloe win as well. I said to Harry last week on Saturday, post-match Saturday, Jamie, that if the Wallabies can get a third win for the Rugby Championship this weekend, 3-3, had you offered that back in July, I'd have ripped your bloody arm off to take it. What's a 3-3 record for New Zealand mean for this Rugby Championship?
Yeah, not good enough. To be honest, like this is a competition that New Zealanders are not used to losing. This will be, if that happens, this will be the first time the All Blacks have ever lost 2 in a row. So
2 championships, and
it's the narrative is starting to get very sort of grumbly that Ian Foster never lost a rugby championship. And to be fair, it's kind of one of those. The rugby championship is one of those things that New Zealand rugby fans. This sounds like super arrogant and things, but it's like they didn't. New Zealanders didn't really care about it until they lose it, and that now it's seen as like, well, hang on, if we can't even win this thing, which we would literally just walk over and pick up every other year, then what does that say about the state? Because the only trophy that the All Blacks have left is the Bledisloe Cup, it's not good. It's not a good feeling to know that there's down in Wellington the cabinet's looking pretty bare right now. So I think that 3-3 record for the All Blacks is not good. It's not going to be good for this coaching staff. It's not going to be good for Scott Robertson, and it's certainly not going to be good for the outlook of the rest of the year.
What's fascinating about watching that debate from the outside is there are always 3 camps in these things, and the minimizers it's an easier job to be the minimizer. It was a one-off, and this happened, and we rebounded this, and
we'll be fine next year.
And there's sort of the moderate guys who go, oh no, there's some issues here, and then there's also these the sky is falling guys, and go, oh my God, the sky is falling. And I think if you start taking the amalgamation of all those things, it does feel pretty grave in the context of New Zealand, not in other people's rugby, but New Zealand rugby, when you have this idea of, a record loss in history, coupled with, we have 1 cup in the trophy cabinet, coupled with who is the New Zealand Sasha Feinberg Ngomazulu, who's coming up the ranks. That type of thing is where I think people that are on the alarmist side start to sound not so crazy. That being said, it was still the New Zealand under-20s in the final of the under-20s. That being said, there's incredible depth in the loose forward and tight forwards. So it's just so difficult. I think the way this year ends changes the entire debate for those 3 schools of thought. And, one group's going to be saying, I told you so. We were fine. We swept everyone. It's great. Or, the knives come out.
I mean, I would counter that by saying that, I don't think, and I get why there's all the hype around Sasha right now. Like the guy's clearly a generational talent, and everything. But I did mention those guys at the start, and I think that the emergence of Roygaard as being an absolute match,
yes,
I agree.
Solid gold
he's your
match
winner.
Exactly. Right. Well, he's more like our Dupont, to be honest.
And a reminder, he's played 13 tests. Like,
and he's
But-
already.
But the All Blacks look
he's already that
completely
important.
different when he plays. Absolutely. I mean,
Yes,
to me, it's
completely.
night and day.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by game changers. So,
Yeah.
I don't. And a couple of years ago, like, who was he? He was a reserve halfback for the Hurricanes, who'd been drafted in like mid-season to cover injuries.
He was injury
So
cover,
that's
wasn't he? Yeah.
yeah, he was injury cover. No one. I remember when his name came on the team show. I didn't even know who he was.
Jeez, he looks big
And
now, though, man. Jamie, he looks
so-
big now. Has he gained a lot of muscle? It looks like he's gained 5 kg.
He was always quite big. Like
Yeah.
he's about 6 feet tall. So he's
tall for a 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your
He,
your DuPont comparison is actually valid. I mean, Cam can hold people off. He can be a pivot almost. It's almost like you've got your game manager right there at the base. He's really hard to put down.
Well, also, and I mean, if there's any French people listening, like he dominated DuPont in that test last year in Paris. That was that's all I needed to see out of those two. I mean, obviously, I mean, he's also the opposite DuPont because I think he's only played like 3 matches in New Zealand and he's played all his test matches in the Northern Hemisphere. So there's that too. But
Right.
I feel like we've got these guys coming through, and you might have heard of Josh Jacob, who's sort of been touted as like, okay, this is the next guy coming through. It's just a matter of giving those guys a full Super Rugby season to show their wares, get their confidence up, bring them into the All Black environment, and then just sort of let them loose. Because, like I said, Robertson is giving these guys a lot of freedom to play the way that they want to, and that's why you're seeing this sort of instant success stories, like Satiti, for example, who went from sort of being a kind of a interesting selection to holy shit, it's the new Michael Jones within like a couple of tests.
Yeah.
So I do like that. I have to hand it to Robertson. Like he's letting these guys become the stars that they should be, and I see no reason why, when a young guy comes through, why someone else wouldn't be able to do the same thing.
Who are you expecting to see this weekend? You expect Scott Barrett will come back?
Well, I think so, and I'm basing that on the same methodology that I do for whenever I try and guess the All Black team, which is to look at Getty images and see who's training. So he's there was a few pictures of him running around. So
that's
I don't know
actually
whether,
brilliant, mate. Very well done.
Don't tell anyone I said that. But if he's not, they go in with the same type 5 they had last week. Like that's minus De Groot and plus Williams. And then I think, and if he does play, I feel like Vi shifts to 6. Parker probably goes to the bench. Although I could see a reality where Satiti goes to the bench and is used as an impact. And Parker goes to 8. And then, of course, you have the straight swap, DMAC for Barrett at 10, and that brings Love onto the bench. And then on the wings, again, Getty Images is telling me that Clark is running around at training, so who knows? But if he's not, I mean, I think they actually might have stumbled on a pretty reasonable solution anyway with Tupaia out there, who I can't remember ever playing on the wing. He's been a midfielder as long as I've been watching him play, but he looked pretty good.
He did
out there. He
good.
Certainly looked like he knew what he's doing. And then that's about the changes I think I could see. And then they'll retain Lakai on the bench. I thought he was pretty good in the shift that he put on. It's a bit of a shame for Duplessis Karifi because you're just gonna look at the two and go, well, Lakai's just bigger. Like that's just what he brings. He's just a bigger player.
But it is true. Karifi does look small at test level. I mean, that's just the thing. You come away from that.
And that was always the reasoning as to why he hadn't been picked in the last sort of 5 years.
It feels like the early days of Sam Cane.
A little bit, a little bit. Yeah. But I feel like I don't think Karifi's going anywhere. Like he'll go on the India tour because they're going to need him. And that he's not he's not going to get cast aside just
He-
yet, because he was picked as a starter in the squad initially. He wasn't coming in as injury cover or anything.
Yeah, true. A quick one, mate, before we let you go. How the New Zealand view of James Slipper? I'm intrigued to hear.
Well, my own personal view is I like him because he's always fun to deal with. He seems like kind of a guy who has been around and seen it all and heard it all, so he's quite relaxed to deal with media-wise, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I think like just from a New Zealand point of view, he just feels like part of the furniture. It's going to be weird having a Wallabies team without him in him. I feel like a guy who's played 150 tests really should have got to be able to win the Bledisloe Cup. But
is that true? He never did.
No, he never did.
Oh
no, never did. He's played the
played. I was going to say he's actually never come close.
No.
Oh man,
no, that was
horrible.
Yeah, played the Lions twice. He'll be gone to however many World Cups. But yeah, never lifted the Bledisloe.
Yeah,
Cup.
but he's in very good company in that regard. So I don't think it's going to keep him up at night.
Yeah.
My big question, Jamie, is how are you guys going to handle Tane Edmed? Our leaker in chief, Christy Doran, has reported exclusively that Tane Edmed will take the field.
Exclusively.
And I can just feel this Bolter man of match situation coming on.
I feel like did that.
Well, I just hope he can kick for touch better than James O'Connor could.
Jeez,
that
was shocking by James O'Connor.
That would be a good start. Maybe James O'Connor just spent too much time down the Crusaders and just wanted to do his mates a favour on the other team. But
another Kiwi sleeper. This old chestnut.
Yeah. Well, and I have to remind you that where did Tane Edmed play and get good at his rugby?
Yeah, true.
Who could definitely do with them back right now because they haven't won a game all year.
It's true.
Is that where Finlay Christie plays as well? So that's a double ginger.
No, Finlay Christie's down at Tasman in a much better team. But if Christie's mail is correct, which it usually is, this will be really interesting because of course he'll be up against Damien McKenzie, and that's just a really cool matchup.
That could be fun.
It represents two very different approaches, I think, this weekend. I think that's going to be interesting. But it's been great. It's been great to get your perspectives and thoughts after what has been a really interesting first leg of this series, and I think we're in for another really interesting test this weekend, regardless of the result, because I think the two teams are probably closer than they've been in a long, long time, and the fact that you're saying I really don't know what's going to happen this weekend. Just makes this contest intriguing, mate. So thank you. It's been good.
No problem at all. And I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm the most excited I've been in a long time to find out what's going to happen. Between these two teams. So big shout out to the people of Perth again selling this game out. That's awesome.
Sold it out a week and a half ago.
Yeah, and that's on the back of sellouts for all the other Wallabies games and the All Blacks selling out all the games here. So rugby's on a real high. I put a lot of it down to this podcast. So well done, guys.
Thank you.
We
agree.
And as per usual, man, it's just been awesome chatting with you guys. And Harry, it was great to see you over in Auckland. Even if you were a little sad. Even if you were a little sad at the end, mate, I'm sorry.
I'm not used to acting like the dispassionate journalist. I mean, Brett's a quiet.
Yeah, I think that's what I have to say. I think that's what upset you the most is that we weren't just reacting to anything at all.
It's like a funeral there, and it's weird because that you can tell inside. You got Gregor Paul to my left there. He wants to do something. Like say some Scottish swear words or something, but nope. Just snaps up his laptop, goes on.
That's it. Good on you, mate. Thanks so much. We'll talk again soon.
Cheers,
guys. Thank you.
Later.
This is the 8-9 combo with Brett McKay and Harry Jones. Mate, great to have Jamie Wall back on the pod. That was a great chat. Really enjoyed that.
almost nobody, I mean, it must be somebody, but almost nobody that I know knows as much as Jamie about the, currents, the daily, the vibe, the atmosphere, the inside, the outside. So it's so good to hear him sort of take us through. And you kind of got this feeling of, it's not even close to being a crisis, but New Zealand rugby is so exacting and so demanding, the fandom, that almost anything could become a crisis if you lose twice.
Become one, yes.
If you lose twice in a row. And so this is an interesting stat. They flashed it up during the Durban match, and it was like how long it's been since the Springboks lost 2 in a row. It's been a long time, and they always bounce back. And so, I think that's the standard in New Zealand is you are not allowed to do just up down, because that will sure as shit lead into a doubled loss in a row. And that's just not acceptable. You have to bounce back.
Yeah. It'll be fascinating this weekend.
Just make a loss really in Perth makes it all sort of seem like, so we're just an up-down team. We're just a yo-yo team. We're nothing special.
In 2025, we are the same as Australia.
Exactly.
They'll have to say that, and that will be like I have said and written things about the All Blacks in the last month that I could not have dreamt of thinking and writing and saying in the last 10 years.
But what Jamie put the flavor around that, which is that it's the rebuild, which is almost a little bit too slow, and so you're having the worst of both sides of it. Like it's almost like if you're going to do it this slow, then just stick with, the old standards and win old-fashioned way. Yeah. Or do this sort of Rassi thing where you're just throwing crazy lineups and see which works, and then you get to some magic. But it's almost like Razor's being so methodical about it that there's not much. That's the part that you're missing.
It's the old. We can't change 10 things because we won't know what 3 things who actually made the difference. Yes. Whereas Rassi just goes, here's 15 new ideas.
Rassi's also said you have 15 tests in the year and no one's going to play more than 8, right? So you got to juggle. Okay. And right now, Andre, Sasha, and Mani, he said there's not even 6 minutes difference in total playing time. So, if you get that platoon kind of idea, then you don't stress so much about, he's being benched. It's just no one gets to play 15 tests. No one gets to play 9 tests. It's going to be 8 tests.
Yeah. Oh, the joys of having 70-man squads. We've not touched on South Africa, Argentina, South Africa in London this week. We are getting back later in the week with the tap and go. So let's maybe load up a couple of questions on in that for that, and we can think about we can touch on that a little bit more a little bit there. That's going to be an interesting contest, I think, as well, because the travel affects both teams. They've both got to make the trip from south to north.
Same plane.
Same flight, probably. Yeah, probably. It probably happened. So who deals with it more? Is it a free swing for South Africa, or is it a free swing for Argentina this week? I think South Africa win it comfortably, but there's interesting little subplots in it. So
it's just a final. It's a knockout. So you don't have to care about bonus points anymore because you did your job in Durban. So now you get to go and say a win is a win. That's one thing. Number 2 is it's pretty much the same side except bringing in even more experience into the team. So it has the starch to win a knockout match. Third, Quickest Fontaine is basically a home match for South Africa. It'll be packed with green and gold. I'm going. Everyone I know is going. It's so easy because there's so many people that either live in England or they can jet up really quickly. It's just not easy. So Argentina gets about 5 times the amount of money by putting it there instead of in Argentina. That's literally, and I get no problem with that, by the way.
No. And that's
make your money.
That's very obviously why they're doing it. It's why, it's why South Africa and New Zealand will play a 4th test in London next year. But
what Rassi and co tried to do was they tried to message this thing. So in Durban, that was the semifinal. They literally said, this is a semifinal. And this is a final. So you can get the young guys like Kanan Moody, Sasha, try to think of it as imposing pressure. Yeah. Most coaches try to relieve pressure. Smart. This is more like, I want to see how you can deal with a knockout match. We're not going to bring Andre in, no security blankets. Sasha, Mani, Willemse, take us home. See what happens.
Yeah. Sasha, how are you going to handle a semi-final? Easy. 37 points. No problem at all.
He looks unperturbed.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Yes. He was rather comfortable. The table as it stands is mad. So South Africa, New Zealand, Argentina can still win. There are equations for those three teams to win it. I think it is South
Go
Africa's
Wallabies, go Wallabies, go Wallabies.
to lose right now.
Go Wallabies, go Wallabies.
It's all very easy. 15. 11,
just win Bledisloe 2, but not with a bonus point, and life is good.
Not for the bonus point.
Kane Edmed, late drop goal, wins it. My life is complete. Then I just go to Twickenham 1 hour later and say, Tane gave us the trophy. Thank you.
Good on you. When you do message him post match,
yeah, I go, thanks, buddy.
Talk. Let's have a chat in the new year. Let's do that again. Women's Rugby World Cup final. England too good for Canada in the end. I don't think anyone was particularly surprised with that. 80,000 plus people at Twickenham. It's been an incredible tournament across the board, and it's been great to see. You can have 10 seconds to talk to me about the Stormers beating Leinster 35-0 to kick off the Irk last week. Ready, go.
This was no mugs. Jack Boyle at prop, Robbie Henshaw, heard of him, Sam Prendergast, made them into little tiny suckling babies. They were wishing the game was over. They were absolutely emasculated. Thank you.
Very good. I'm glad you're interested in the Irk this year. That's great. Western Force will host New South Wales in the Super Rugby Oz final in Perth on Sunday afternoon. The Force had a loss last weekend, their first loss of a short comp to Queensland. New South Wales won through with a win over the Brumbies, so that will be interesting to see how that plays out. There's been some good rugby. It's felt like a preseason trial tournament. That's what it feels like. But it's the most important. And I've written this. I've said it. The most important thing about
by the way.
There's nothing to understand. The most important thing about this competition that I can say is that it's happening. That is the most important thing.
Cool.
That's all you need to know. Anything else to add? I think we're done.
The nil actually flattered Leinster, but that's it. Okay. We're lucky.
Very good.
No.
You're all right. You've snuck that one in. That then is another great episode of the 8-9 Combo Rugby Podcast behind us. Our sincere thanks to Jamie Wall for joining us for a fantastic chat. Really, really loved it. Tell us what you think by following Harry and I on the socials in our usual places. Find the 8-9 Combo on all the socials as well. Have you say here on the YouTube channel. Have you say here on the Spotify channel as well. Shares, ratings, reviews, all of that. All very, very welcome. Please and thank you. This is the 8-9 Combo, the short side set piece combination you didn't realize you needed in a rugby podcast. I'm Brett McKay. He's Harry Jones, and we will be back in your ears in just a few days' time. Twice, in fact, this weekend.
Come play with us.
Here goes Jones with another bruising run. He links up with McKay, who pops back to Jones. They can't. They won't. They will. What a try. The Dream Team Combo go in again.